Audi RS3, a car that most petrol heads know and most petrol heads like, especially in Bradford and Birmingham. I mean, they worship the damn things, and I could sort of see why, because you've got a turbocharged 5-cylinder that makes all the right noises and it can propel you to a gazillion miles an hour, and 4-wheel drive traction to help you out in those in and out gapping missions.
However, while all of its newer iterations are getting all the glory, the OG RS3 is swept under the carpet a little bit. But that's no bad thing, because it seems like now it's become a very cool second-hand purchase, and considering you can pick one of these up for around about 15 grand, then this might be an affordable way to hop into a very fast 5-cylinder hyper hatch.
This whole subgenre of hyperhatch was invented by this car. You see, back in 2011, Audi decided that they wanted to put the 2.5 litre 5-cylinder engine from its TTRS into an A3, and so the RS3 was born. However, it did have a small issue: its price. It costed £40,000, which is a lot. However, the RS3 has one small party trick. Point to point, this is still one of the fastest road cars out there. That 2.5 litre 5-cylinder motor is chucking out 335 horsepower, and it will propel this 4-wheel drive car with its slick dual clutch gearbox to 60 miles an hour in just 4.6 seconds. And even after all these years, and this particular example covering 73,000 miles, I'm pretty sure it can do that. It feels every bit as fast. And then we get on to another signature RS3 trick: the noise. A moment of silence, please. It seems like to me that this RS3 doesn't seem outdated at all, not from its straight line performance nor its soundtrack. But what about the way it looks?
Audi really do know how to design a car that gets better looking as time goes on, and this Generation 8P RS3 is a perfect example of that. Finished in Daytona grey with its stealth-like looking wheels, spoiler and silver outlays on the honeycomb grille and everywhere else, you'd never believe that this is more than a decade old.
I like the styling of this car when it was new, and after all these years I still love the styling of it, especially when it's in OEM form. And if I were to get one, I'd either get it in this lovely Daytona grey paint or even the red. Inside, it's pretty much the same as what you would find in the regular A3 or S3, which is no bad thing, because the fit, finish, quality and materials, even after all these years and all these miles, feels solid and premium. But there is an option on these RS3s that is very rare, very expensive, but is a must-have, and that's these seats. Oh my god, these seats, the Recaro wingbacks that you would usually find in other fast Audis and hot Golfs. It totally transforms the interior, and in my opinion, it's worth every penny.
So then, the RS3 is still very fast, sounds fantastic, looks good, and if you have a seat fetish, then you'll probably buy the car just for that. However, it's not all perfect.
On the road, what's this RS3 like to drive then? Well, for starters, it feels like an A3, a bit like the interior, which is no bad thing. It just means that it's an easy car to drive. That's the one thing that's great about Audi RS cars overall. They never feel intimidating to drive. Anyone and everybody could jump in it and use it every day. The engine, that 5-cylinder, yes, it does bark and it does shout, but it seems to simmer along quite nicely in normal drive mode. When you've not got it in its sportier setting, this just drives like a normal car. The only telltale hint signs are obviously if your car's equipped with the Recaro wingback seats, then you'll notice that you're in something a little bit more sportier, but more of which you're going to notice the biggest difference is the ride. Comfortable isn't a word that's associated to the 8P RS3. It does simmer down on motorway speeds, but it's always choppy and it's always busy. For people like me that are lost after cars like the Clio RS, Mitsubishi Evos and Scoobies, if you think that's what the nature of the RS3 is going to be like, in the sense that you can sort of trail brake it and make the thing oversteer, you're not. It is very sure-foot in the RS3, and its body control is kept in check. It goes around corners flat with little to no body roll at all. But the problem with the RS3 is it goes you into pushing it quite hard, and then once you start pushing it that little bit harder, you know what I'm going to say, aren't you? That U word, that dreaded U word. Yeah, the front end's got enough grip, but just as you start pushing it, it starts to understeer. And the problem is you don't get any feedback coming from the steering wheel at all. It's an accurate system, you can point it where you like, but there's just no feedback coming from it. However, if you take your mind out of that equation, accept that the RS3 isn't going to be like an Evo. It's sure competent and it's got bags and bags of grip, but it's not going to dance over the road surface. In that respect, see it as more of a nice, elegant road car, and that's what the RS3 is, a very nice, elegant road car. What I tend to do is have it in manual mode, and I just play up and down the gears and listen to that 5-cylinder warble, and it is the engine. The engine is the star of the show. And those drawbacks with the suspension, the fact that it understeers, well, there is a solution to that. You can buy aftermarket coilover kits, and you could put a decent geometry setup in there, which I presume and suppose would help with that front end turning. I don't think it's as bad as what people make out to be. It's still a very effective, very blunt, yet a very enjoyable road car. As long as you dial it back to 7 temps. If you try to dial it back to 7 temps, you're fine. Absolutely fine.
There's something quite likeable about the first generation RS3 as a fast everyday road car. You can cover ground at a fair pace, and it sort of takes care of things for you. Yes, I know that might not sound appealing to people out there that drive a bit like me, but to the vast majority, that's what they want. Overall then, I would say the RS3 8P is a contender in a few years' time for being a modern classic. But nevertheless, it's a great platform to have if you just want to lock up and keep, use it every day, or it could be a great base to tune it up and make loads of horsepower.